We're going to talk to today. I'm really actually very excited about this. We're going to talk to Sharon JackaBucci. She is the meter lady of Venice Beach, and she was in parking enforcement for 30 years in Los Angeles and giving tickets to some of the most famous people in Hollywood. And she was able to strike up a lot of friendships and has some amazing stories. Um, and plus, she had her own stint on the show. It was on True TV. What was the show, Kev?
Parking something on True TV. We can ask her.
Well, we'll ask her since she'll be here. All right. Well, welcome, Jackie. I'm super excited. We talked the other day, and I'm super excited to do this today.
I'm super excited to see you guys. Hey.
Hey, it's good to see you too.
Let's jump right into Venice Beach and let's see. I mean, we were talking about it. You were meter lady for years in Venice. How long were you were you working in Venice?
Yes, 30. I worked 30 years.
Wow. But you didn't work any other part of town?
In the beginning, I started on Pico Boulevard until I threatened to kill someone, and then I got removed from Pico. And that was in the 80s, and I got lucky. I got sent to Venice Beach because in the 80s, you couldn't just go to Venice Beach. You had to have seniority, or someone with seniority would have to call out sick or be on a day off, and then I would get it. And I just love Venice Beach because I used to go there before I got the job. And just being there when someone was out sick, it was so exciting for me. But yeah, I ended up in Venice because I threatened to kill someone. And if that had happened today with all the cameras, I would have been fired. But there weren't any cameras, but the police did come. Yeah, it's a. Do you want to hear the story?
Yeah.
I don't know. Can you say? I don't know if I can say what I said at that time because those are bad words.
Yeah, you can say that. Tell a story.
Okay. I was on probation. I just started the job and they placed me on Pico Boulevard between Sepulveda and I can't think of the street, but it was 1 hour parking at that time, and there was the West Side Pavilion, and across from the West Side Pavilion is a diner. And I was very shy when I got the job. I didn't curse. I'd never been in an altercation before. And the first day that I worked, the waitress came out. She started screaming at me and cussing me out because I'd written her customer a ticket. I didn't know the meter was expired. Back then, the meter, the red flag would pop up. Do you guys remember that?
Right.
So I would walk around looking for the red flag and I would write it. She would come out screaming and cussing me out. And then her customers would come out and cuss me out. And it was horrible, Kevin. It was horrible. I wouldn't even look at them. I would look at the ground while they're talking. And I would put the ticket on and walk away, and they're still calling me all these awful names. And that went on for a month. And after about a month, I thought to myself, this job is paying $35,000 a year, but it's not worth it. It's not worth this kind of headache. So I called my mother up and I told her I was going to quit that job. And my mother said, are you kidding me? That's a city job. It has excellent benefits. You're not going to quit that job. Why are you quitting? I said, because the waitress, she comes out every day and she torments me. She calls me names and then her customers calls me name and I can't handle it, Mom. I'm quitting. My mother said, no. My mother's a Baptist woman. She's never cursed. Okay. I never, ever heard my mother say a bad word. But she said to me, you are going to go back to that job tomorrow. And when that bitch comes out and starts her madness again, you are going to tell her where she can go. And I thought to myself, Mom, I said, I can't tell her that. Mom might get fired. My mother said, if you don't stand up and stop being a doormat, people are going to walk all over you. You have to learn to be assertive. And I said, oh, that's an interesting word. So the next day, when I got ready for work, I was thinking about what my mom had said. And I said, well, I'm going to be fired anyway, which is good for me because I hate that job. So I put on a T-shirt and a pair of shorts underneath my uniform. I probably weighed about 100 pounds then. And I went to work, and of course, there's a meter expired in front of that damn diner. And I get out and I walk over there and I write it. And here she comes, the little waitress. And this time, instead of me looking down at the ground, I looked her in the eye. And she was talking her
Nice.
madness. And I said, "Are you finished?" And I think she was shocked because she never seen me, stand
You
up for
never
myself.
backtalked her. Okay.
Yeah, I said, "Are you finished?" And she just looked, and I said, "Because today is the last day you're gonna fuck with me, bitch.
Oh,
Today, I'm gonna kick your motherfucking ass up and down this goddamn boulevard." I couldn't even believe I said all that. I would never have said that, but I felt like it because I dealt with her for 30 years. I mean, not 30 years, 30 days, and I was sick of her. And she looked at me and she says, "You can't touch me. You work for the city." I said, "Not anymore, bitch."
oh,
So I
nice.
started unbuttoning my uniform top. She took off running. How dare she run? She never run in 30 days of bothering me. She never ever ran away. So you know what I did? I took off running after her. She ran into the diner. I was on the outside of the diner pulling the door, trying to pull the door open. She's trying
Right.
to pull the door closed. And she's screaming to the customers, "Call the police, call the police." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're going to need the police to get me off you, bitch." The customers that were eating were looking out the window like they couldn't believe what I was doing. What
Oh,
I was
wow.
actually doing that. And the police came, Sergeant Bermudez came, training officer Ed Harrison came. And I'll never
Jeez,
forget.
you wait a minute. Wait, whoa, whoa. You remember their names after all this time? The two
Yes,
guys?
because yes, I do remember Sergeant Bermudez. He was my sergeant on the squad.
Wow.
Yes, and I remember
Wow.
training officer Ed Harrison because he trained me. He was one of the
Okay.
trainers. And they came and PD came, and Sergeant Bermudez told me to let go of the door. I couldn't believe I was still holding on to that door. And she was still on the inside trying to keep me out. And I was trying to keep myself getting in. And Ed Harrison said, "You're gonna be fired." And I was like, "Who cares? I don't care," to myself. And Bermuda said, "JackaBucci, go over there with Ed Harrison. I'm going to go talk to the citizen." Well, that kind of pissed me off. Why are you going to go talk to her first and not talk to me? But
He called her a citizen.
yes, yes, he called her a citizen. He did. So he went over there, he talked to her, and Ed's standing there looking at me like, "It won't be long before you'll be out of this job. You're in trouble." And I'm thinking, I don't even care anymore. And Sergeant Bermudez came back and he said, "Oh, the citizen is really upset. She's threatening to call the mayor." I said, "She can call the president of the United States for all I care." And then he said, and she also said that you said that you were going to kick her, you will. And I said, "I would never have said that." And he said, "JackaBucci, I know you wouldn't have. You're so shy and you're so quiet." I said to him, I said to her, I was going to kick her motherfucking ass up and down this goddamn boulevard if she wouldn't leave me alone. And I said, if she's going to quote me, she should at least quote me right. He started laughing. And then he remembered he was the sergeant. And he said, "Oh my God, did anybody hear you?" And I said, "She heard me." And then he said, so I said, "You're going to fire me anyway." So I quit. I quit. And he was like, "Well, JackaBucci, I'm not gonna fire you." I said, "Well, what are you gonna do? Because if I come back here tomorrow, I'm not responsible for what happens to her." And he said to me, "How about if I send you to Venice Beach?" And I said, "You're going to send me to Venice Beach? Really?" And he did. He sent me home that day to calm down. But the next day, he sent me to Venice Beach. God bless Sergeant Bermudez. I love Sergeant Bermudez. He should have fired me. If there were cameras today, I would have been fired. But he saw something in me because I told him I couldn't deal with that. No one could deal with that 30 days straight in a row, being harassed,
Yeah.
being cussed out. And I couldn't believe I even said what I said. I couldn't believe I did that. I had never done that in my life. That even
Yeah,
blew
well,
me
people
away.
people back then had empathy. Obviously, he could see that you were a good worker. But you get to a point as a human being, yeah, enough's enough. Fuck a job,
Yeah, that's
right?
what I felt. Fuck that job. I don't need
Yeah, fuck a job.
it. I
I got
didn't need
fired
that
Yeah.
one
one.
time being in a I got fired being a waiter because I cussed a guy out one night in the middle of the dining room. Put it on him. I looked at his girlfriend and said, you can do way better than this.
See, didn't you feel better after you told him where to go? I know I
Of
felt
course I felt better after I got fired. Yeah, I felt better. She tipped me $150 too because everybody in that dining room knew I was going to get fired. I went off. I'm serious.
See,
Sometimes you had enough, right? And we used to see you. I never saw you really get rowdy with people because, you could sort of compress them and calm them down.
So I wanted to say that you love Venice, and I think Venice loves you. What about can you talk about the mural?
oh, Rip Crump, the artist, he did Jim
Yeah.
Morrison down there and Arnold Schwarzenegger and Abbott Kinney. I over the years I watched him, do the artwork, and then he was doing Speedway near Market Street. And I saw when he put it up there, and I thought, wow, that's amazing. And over the years, he would say, I want to put you up there. But you think people are just joking. You know what I mean? You don't really take them seriously. So I was like, yeah, well, whatever. Yeah, sure. And one day he came and he says, well, today is the day I need to get a Polaroid of you. And I was like, really? And he says, yeah, I'm going to put you up there. And he said, he wanted me to be bigger than the size I am right now. But I felt like I had put on a little bit of weight and I didn't want to be real big up on no mural. So there was an elderly couple when I first started work in the 80s. They own half of Venice. And I cannot think of their names. I kept a newspaper clipping of when they passed away. But right now I cannot think of their names. But I gave them a ticket the first time I was in Venice. They had a gray Mercedes, and I remember that. So Rip, he drew me up on the wall, and he put their car on the wall.
Oh,
And
wow. So that was an homage to them as well.
Yes. And the couple that's standing, that was them. The two, the man and woman that's standing, that's them.
Uh-huh.
Right by the Mercedes and me. They're giant.
Right.
Yeah. Do you remember that? Yeah, you probably can't picture that. But that's
All
what
I can
that
remember
means.
was you.
Well, that's what that means. That Mercedes, that was their car years ago.
That's very
in the
cool.
80s. So yeah, I was thrilled. I'm a rock star.
You are. So do you have a question, Kevin?
Yeah,
No,
sure.
so I know what I want to say. After I got removed from Pico Boulevard to Venice Beach, I decided I didn't want to deal with any more irate people that work where I'm working. Do you understand? So I made the choice on my first day at work in Venice to go into each business and introduce myself. That's what I did. I went in and I said hello, that, I'm going to be working here. And I told them my name. They told me their names. And I did it on every street I worked. And every day when I would come to work, I would go in and say, good morning. How are you guys doing? And that's how it all started.
Now, you didn't have any apprehension about working in Venice Beach, as crazy as it can be down there?
How would I know? I didn't know. I've only been to Venice
Well,
Beach.
you used to go on weekends.
Well, once in a while, but when I went, I didn't see anything. And I went to the water and hung out, so I didn't know it was crazy. I did not know. It was exciting to me. I was in my 20s.
Oh, so guys were chasing you then. Is that what happened?
Yeah, I was pretty cute thing back then. Yes, I was.
Well, I know that you went down by Muscle Beach and basketball court. I know.
I went everywhere. I used to go down there with my friends and we would walk around. I had so much fun. So to actually be able to work there and walk around and get paid, come on, Kevin and David, that's a dream job.
Now, how much free stuff did you get? I mean, you probably didn't have to pick up a check in any of those restaurants, right?
The restaurants, they loved me, those restaurants. In the beginning, I would say I paid for everything in the beginning. And in the beginning, I
Uh-huh.
did. I paid for my meals, but I didn't
And
eat a
that
lot
lasted
because
a
I was
week.
skinny. But over the years, uh, if I wanted to, I could get a meal for free. I could. And because I could, I also became friends with the homeless down there.
Uh-huh.
I knew all the homeless. Like some people would walk by them and not even say hello to them. I say hello to everybody, Kevin and David, and I would give them a hug. And then I would see if they needed anything. So yeah, the homeless people, I would feed them. I would get food and give it to them. I would get
Nice.
coffee and give it to them. I would get a juice and give it
Nice.
to them. That's what I would do.
You know,
This
it's
is
funny you mentioned that because we had a discussion about that earlier part of the show about the homeless
yep.
situation in LA.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as it is today. But back
Right.
then, I met the most interesting people that were homeless.
I think the there was a qualitative difference between the people who found themselves homeless and wound up in Venice than the ones who wound up in downtown LA.
Exactly.
It's a very different demographic or group of people.
So I'm
Somehow,
going to tell you about one particular homeless person, Henry Hill. Did you guys
okay,
know him?
yes,
I met him once.
Yes, me and
he,
Henry. Can I tell you about Henry?
Sure.
let me just say, when I moved into my apartment in Venice, um, he was hanging out with the guy upstairs,
Oh, he was.
and yeah, and a guy that you and I know, Kevin, the writer, was living there too. I can't remember. We did a cold read for him, and
Oh, you're
he
talking about
complained because
Andrew.
Andrew, yeah, he complained because his roommate would come home with Henry Hill all messed up, and they'd be on the floor like drumming on pots and pans and stuff.
All right, so for
Uh,
people who don't understand, who won't know, Henry Hill was portrayed by Ray Liotta in Goodfellas, and the three of us actually would see the real Henry Hill. That's what we're talking about.
Yes, and the
yep.
movie was
So what?
about Henry Hill. It was based on Henry Hill.
Right.
Henry,
It was
Henry.
based on he. Yeah,
It was. It was based on him. And when I first met
yeah.
Henry, he was a drunk, homeless, smelled terrible, but just as
Right.
sweet as he wanna be, always flirting and giving me hugs. And we would talk, and I would get him something to eat, and I would sit down and talk to him. And he would tell me when he was younger, he killed people, executed them, robbed an
Probably.
airplane of over $1 million. Uh, the movie Goodfellas was about him. I thought the man was nuts. he said, yeah, they made a movie about me. And there's a lot of things in that movie they had to tone down that they wouldn't be able to show because we were some serious killers. And I said, Henry, you got some great stories. You should be a writer. I said, because you're visualizing all this madness, Henry. And there's no way no short dude like you could be out killing people. There's no way Ray Liotta made a movie about you. And I said, you also said that you were in the witness protection program. Henry, if you were in the witness protection program and you said you left it, how come you weren't killed? If this is true. Oh, well, Jock, they all went to prison and some of them died, and I didn't like being in the witness protection program. I didn't need their money, so I would walk off and leave. And I said, yeah, Henry's crazy. So after a while, I would just tune him out. I would let him talk and talk because the man was full of shit. It's just the alcohol talking.
Well,
He
when
loved to talk to me.
the
Yes, he
the
loved
couple
to talk to
times
me every
the
day.
couple times I met him, he had a big nose. You ever see his nose is this big. It took up his whole face, right? And
Yeah.
I'm thinking they use Ray Liotta to portray this guy.
See,
And,
you didn't
you
believe
know,
it.
Hollywood,
I didn't believe it.
yeah, but you know, Hollywood doesn't use anybody ugly because they could have got a short, ugly guy to play Henry Hill
Yeah, they
to
could
be,
have.
you know, closer to the resemblance of Henry Hill.
Exactly. But you know how I
Yeah,
found out he was telling me the truth? One day I came to work, there was a film crew parked all over Washington, not parked correctly. And I told them they had to move. And they were like, where can we park? I said, you can park in the county parking lot. And they go, oh, do you know Henry Hill? I said, yeah, why? We're looking for him. I said, why are you looking for Henry? Did he do something? Yeah, we're making a documentary about him. And I said, why are you making a documentary about him? Did you see the movie Goodfellas? That's when I realized that old fart was
That it
telling
was
me the
true.
truth.
Yeah.
Everything he said was true, even though I started tuning them out. Can you believe that? They did a
Yeah.
documentary about Henry. And then
Yep.
he was on the Today Show. He started appearing on all these talk shows. He wrote a cookbook.
See his name?
Henry cleaned up. You hear me? He cleaned up. Him and the mob gangsters helped create the Mob Museum in Vegas. Think about that. Have you heard of the Mob Museum?
Yeah. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
No.
helped create that. Henry did. He invited me to the opening. Not only that, Henry gave me a piece of his art. I have a piece of his art where he's where they're burying the bodies. I don't know if I'm gonna put that on my wall.
I see that
Now,
art.
one of the
I don't know.
times in, and Ray Liotta was sitting on the bench in front. And he was just down there for the day. I mean, you know, he was probably walking around or whatever. And
Yeah.
I didn't talk to him. I looked at him, but I didn't talk to him. And it's funny to me because now here's Ray Liotta and Henry Hill was just here, right? And now we got Ray Liotta, his alter ego, you know? Wow. Venice is something else.
It is.
So listen,
Seen,
yeah.
hold on. I've seen what Henry Hill painted as art, and I might not put it on my wall either. It's a little. I mean, I'm sure lots of people bought it. That's right.
So wait, you wait a minute. Y'all got copies of it?
I have one of his artwork.
Okay.
I could show it to
Because
you.
I've
Yes,
never
I
seen
do.
anything he painted.
I have it. Very interesting. I have it on my table.
Oh, nice.
Uh-huh.
So Sharon, tell me about stand-up now. Because let the people know you do stand-up.
Well, you want to know how I got into stand-up comedy?
Yeah.
Yes.
Again, back in the late 80s, or either the early 90s. I used to go to the Comedy Store.
Okay.
And
I've had dealings with them.
Mitzi was alive then. Mitzi Short. She was there every day. Mitzi was there every day. And she was telling me I should do some comedy because I was funny. And I was like, I don't know. But I started watching all the other comics and I became friends with Eddie Griffin.
Oh, nice.
Me and Eddie. I would watch Eddie. I would support him. He loved Diana Ross.
Oh, really?
Yes, Eddie loved Diana Ross, and he would tell me that I reminded him of Diana Ross. That was way back, And I would watch him perform, and he was so funny. He was absolutely hilarious. And so I would do comedy. They would do comedy, and I hung out. I hung out there for a while until I adopted my two boys, and then I couldn't do comedy anymore. So I was leaving.
Right.
I left there, and I told Eddie, I'm not going to be doing comedy anymore. And he said that this was in the early 90s. He said it was a blessing what I was doing, taking care of two boys that I adopted and that I could come back and get into comedy at any time. And I watched him blow up.
Yeah. Yeah.
He blew up. And the funny thing is, years later, Eddie moved into Venice on Ocean
Oh, did he?
Boulevard. Yes, on Speedway. He lived in the middle, and Cat Williams lived at the other end.
Oh,
They
wow.
were
All right, let's
walking
talk
distance
about
of
Cat
each other.
Williams.
Huh?
All right,
What's that?
let's talk about Cat Williams then.
Cat Williams, I didn't know who Cat Williams was. I never heard his name before. I didn't watch a lot of black movies because I had children, and I just didn't get into it. But one day I came up Speedway, and at the corner of Union Jack, there's a sign there that says no parking anytime. And there were all these cars parked in the alleyway and on the side street of Union Jack. So I wrote those cars tickets, and this short dude came out on the patio, short black dude came out on the patio of his condominium. Those were condos there in the corner. And he goes, "What are
Right.
you doing?"
Mm-hmm.
He says, "You didn't write those cars a ticket, did you?" And I said, "Yeah, I already wrote all of them." He said, "Why?" I said, "Because of that sign. There's a sign that says no parking anytime." He says, "I live here." And I said, "Well, I work here." And so he said, "Do you know who I am?" "No, but you know who I am." That's what I told him. And he was like, "Wow." He was like, "I'm Cat Williams." What does that mean? He said,
Nice.
"You don't know Cat Williams?" "No, I don't know nobody named Cat Williams." "Well, I'm Cat Williams. I'm a comic." "That's nice." He said, "I've done a lot of movies." "Did you see Friday?" "No, didn't see Friday." He named another one. "Nope, hadn't seen that either." And I think he was shocked too, just like Tupac was. He was shocked that I didn't know who he was. So he gave me a DVD of his performance so that I would not forget who he was.
Right.
And he signed it to me.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked for a little bit. He told me about all of his children, how he loves all of his children and raised all these children. And he told me a little bit about his life and that he does comedy. And he gave me his telephone number. He did.
To which you still have today.
Yes. He gave me his
Nice.
number a long time ago. And after that, I started seeing Cat Williams all the time. Now I knew who he was, the dude whose friends I gave tickets to. And when he would
Mm-hmm.
see me, he tried to give me $100 bill. Cat Williams is the most generous man I've ever met in my entire life. No, there were others. But as far as the comic go, he was the most generous one I've ever seen. I told him I could not take his money. And he was like, "Well, go ahead and take it." I said, "I can't take it." So at the end of the day, because you know how I always walked around Venice talking to everybody?
Right.
I would always leave my window cracked open a little bit. In case I lost my key, I'd be able to get into the car. And
Right.
at the end of that day, I got into the car, and there was $100 bill balled up thrown on my seat of my car.
Oh,
I knew
nice.
who did it. It was Cat Williams that did that. Yeah, he did. He threw $100 bill in my car. And not only that, he would utilize all the businesses in Venice, Cold Stones, the Cows Inn,
Right.
whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
he would give them $100 tip.
Oh,
Everyone
nice.
got $100 tip. Now, why he gave me $100, I don't know. I gave all of his buddies tickets.
Well, he must
But
have looked. He must have liked you. But
he
I
did because he would
remember,
talk to me all the time.
but I remember running into you, and I don't know why I was up at 6:30 in the morning, but we were down at the end of Washington. We were right in front of the Whaler, and we were talking, me and you, and the powder blue convertible Rolls Royce comes by, does the 2-3 donuts. And I said, "Jackie, you see this fool?" And you said, "Oh, that's Cat." I'm like, "Who?" "Cat Williams. You remember? He had a powder blue Rolls Royce. And I'm like, "Cat Williams." And you're like, "Yeah, it's Cat Williams. He lives down there, Union Jack." Yeah, all right, okay. And at that point, I didn't know who he really was either, you know.
No,
But
me either.
he's doing donuts in the Rolls Royce, and I
He
saw it.
Yes, he's just so sweet and so respectful. I ran into him at Universal Studios with Stevie Mack, and some fans came up to try to talk to him. He said, "Don't disrespect my girl, Jackie. Do you not see me talking to her? When I am done talking to her, then you can talk to me." I was like, wow, Cat did that for me. Even Stevie Mac was shocked. Yeah, but
Tough
I
dude.
love Cat. Cat, um, all the comics. You know, you
Hmm.
guys, everybody was wonderful to me. Everybody's sweet to me. I can tell you this much: the famous and the infamous, everybody, homeless, everyone lived in Venice. Everyone at
Yeah.
one time or another came through
Yeah.
Venice. I've given so many celebrity tickets. I'm watching now how they have this meet and greet where you got to pay to meet them. Well, they used to
Yeah.
pay to meet me.
Oh,
Forget
nice.
the ticket. They
Now,
used to pay to
I
meet
remember
me.
you telling me, I remember you telling me that Gregory Hines was a lovely man.
That was my friend too. And Gregory Hines. Oh, here's another funny story. Gregory Gregory had a black Pontiac, and he was staying in a hotel on Pacific Avenue near
Right.
Venice Way, or on the corner there.
Yeah.
And I used to give this black Pontiac a street cleaning ticket every week. It's like they wouldn't move it. What the hell's going on? And one day I came there to do street cleaning again, and I looked and I said, "Oh my God, that guy looks like Gregory Hines." But it can't be Gregory Hines. He's in New York. At least every time I would see him on television, he's in New York. But
Hmm.
it was him because he walked up to me and he said, "Do you know this Jaka?" He was trying to say the name on a ticket. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, she's some Italian girl. I know who she is." He says, "Well, she keeps giving me tickets." And I was like, "Oh, wow, Gregory, I'm so sorry. She's giving you all these tickets." I said, "Let me see." He had kept some in his car and he showed it to me. And I said,
Right.
"Well, they're all for street cleaning. How come you don't move your car?" And he was like, "Well, I'm staying in that hotel right there." And you're in the hotel? He's telling me where he lives. In
Right.
the hotel. I think it's called Hotel Irvine now, or Irvin or something.
Irwin.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Irwin.
Yeah.
That's the
Erwin.
hotel he lived in for at least a good 10 years. And he was showing me the tickets, and I was like, "Well, why don't you move?" And he would say, "Well, I don't get up in time to move. Could you tell her to like give me a break, give me a chance to get over here?" And I'm going along with, "Yeah, I'll make sure she knows, Mr. Hine. I'm so sorry she's getting you, Mr. Hine." And it's me. So fast forward 3 months later, I see Gregory coming down Speedway to go into Nick's Market. And he's like,
Right.
"Hey, media lady, did you talk to your coworker like you said you were?" I said, "Yes, I did, Mr. Hines. I talked to them, and they said that you should not park there. You should set your alarm and get up and move your car." Just as I said that, some people drove by hollering out the car window, "JackaBucci, we love you." And he was like, "You're JackaBucci?" I was like, "Oh my God." But I thought he was going to cuss me out. He just started laughing and he said, "So you're JackaBucci. Okay. Yeah. So you're the one that's giving me the advice." I said, "Yes, you need to get up and move your car." And that's how we became friends, Gregory and I. And he moved up from that Pontiac to a convertible Jaguar convertible. And on his license plate had his children's name abbreviated.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes. He's a sweetheart too. Gregory was a sweetheart. I love
Yeah, he
Gregory.
looked like a nice guy. I mean, he really looked like a nice guy.
He did a video for me.
So
He did a
you
video.
you got back into you got back into
Comedy?
stand up with Don Lovett. Yeah.
No, no, not with John Lovitz. I got back into comedy before I even met John. I didn't even know John.
Hmm.
Uh, I had just started back doing comedy because Karen Brando, she's married to Miko Brando. Miko is Marlon Brando's son. And
Uh-huh.
uh-huh. And
Oh,
Miko,
really?
yes, yes, Miko Brando, his father is Marlon Brando. And John's father was a dentist, if I got this right, because it's been a while. John's father is a dentist, and he was Marlon's dentist. That's how.
Oh, so there's a connection. Yeah.
Yeah. So Karen kept saying, uh, "You need to be doing comedy." And I said, "Yeah, well, one day I'm going to do it." "Well, you need to do it with John Lovitz." I'm like, "Yeah, right. I love John Lovitz. I watch his movies. I watch him on Saturday Night Live and this television show he had." I'm thinking to myself, "Yeah, Karen. Yeah, Karen. Sounds great, Karen." So I let it go. I didn't push that part of it. And I would walk around and people go, "Well, what do you do? What do you do?" I said, "One day I'm going to be a famous comic. One day I'm going to be a famous comic." And I told everybody that, and including Karen Brando. And then Karen said to me a week later, you remember you always saying you're going to open for somebody famous? Well, I think you should open for John." She said that. And I go, "But I don't know
Yeah.
John." "John who?" "Remember we talked about John Lovitz? That's Miko's best friend." I go, "No, I don't know John Lovitz." She says, "Well, I'm having my birthday party on Sunset Boulevard at this club. It's a rock club where all the rock stars go to. The Rainbow Grill. Is that the name of it?
Yeah.
All the rock stars go
The
to it, right?"
Rainbow. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Hmm.
where she had
Yep.
her
Well, the
party.
guy Lemmy, in fact, they had a memorial for the guy Lemmy. I forget what band he's in, but he used to be up there all the time.
Okay,
And
well,
Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top, he hangs out in there at the
okay, well,
Rainbow.
Karen and her husband like going there, and they had her birthday party there. She made sure I sat across from John Lovitz.
Right.
And I was
Hmm.
thrilled, but I was scared too, because the entire time I was talking to everybody. He's on his cell, just texting away or either just talking to somebody. And I thought, how am I ever going to talk to him? And Karen saw that. And Karen said, "Sharon, tell everybody about what happened with you and Brad Pitt and Frank Gehry." So
Uh-huh.
I stood up and told the story about how Angelica Houston, who was my dear friend, invited me to her party, and I saw Brad Pitt there. And my friend
Right.
Antoinette, I took her to the party because she'd never been to a celebrity party. So I took her to the party. We saw everybody at Angelica's party, but the one we zoomed in on was Brad Pitt. And so I said to Antoinette, "I'm going right over there to get a picture with Brad Pitt." And Antoinette goes, "He's talking to his dad." We thought it was his dad because he's talking to this old white guy. And I said, "I don't care if
Right.
he's talking to his dad. When opportunity strikes, you jump on it." So I took off walking. She ran behind me. And Brad was talking to his father, or whom I presume was his father. And I said to Brad, "Brad, I just love you. Could I get a picture with you?" He said, with the uh, are you with the media or are you with the press or something?" And I said, "No, I'm Angelica's friend. She invited me to this party." And he said, "Well, in that case, yes, I'll take a picture with you." So I gave my camera to Antoinette. And I said, "Antoinette, take the picture of me and Brad." And she says, you're gonna make sure he gets one with me too, right?" And I said, "Of course I am. Now here, take the picture." So we got ready to take the picture. Brad's dad jumped into the picture. And I looked at
Okay.
him and said, "Excuse me, move. This is me and Brad's picture." And the old guy jumped and moved out the way. Antoinette tapped me on the shoulder and said, "That was Frank Gehry." I go, "Who the fuck is Frank Gehry? I don't care if it's his dad or not. This is me and Brad's opportunity." And she goes, "Frank Gehry, he did the concert, something hall or something." I said
Yeah,
to
the Disney Hall.
Antoinette,
Disney.
yeah, I
Yeah.
said, "I don't care if he decorated little kids' hallways. I don't care." I said, she said, "No, bitch. Like the Guggenheim Museum, the Disney Concert Hall downtown." I was, oh shit. I said, "You get back over here." He came back over and we took the picture. We took the picture.
Nice.
And then I made sure Antoinette got a picture with Brad. And afterwards, Antoinette said, "Oh my God, people jump for Frank Gehry, but he jumped for you.
Nice.
You pushed him
Oh,
around."
he's a famous architect, this guy.
I didn't know who he was at
Yeah.
that time. How would I
And
know?
apparently he built like half of LA too, this guy.
Exactly, but I didn't know about him. I made a move.
Oh,
Yeah, so at the birthday party at the Rainbow Grill, after I told them about the story about Brad and Frank Gehry, John said, "You are fucking hilarious." He said, "If you can do that on stage," he says, "I'll let you open up for me." And then he said, "Do I have an agent or a manager?" And I told him I didn't have one. He said, "That's okay. That's okay. We'll work on that." And I said, "You're going to let me open up for you?" He said, "Yes, I am." He said, "Give me your number and I'll call you." About every month, he didn't call. Every month. And I would call Karen and go, no, Karen would call and go, "Did you hear from John yet?" "No, I haven't heard from him." And after the third month of not hearing from him, I thought he was full of shit. And I said, "Well, he didn't mean it. He just took my number." And I think 6 months had gone by. I was sitting on the couch. I was at home. And the landline was ringing. And I picked it up. And I heard this voice go, "JackaBucci, are you ready to open up for me?" And I started screaming, "Yes, yes!" And I dropped I dropped the cell, I dropped the receiver, and I started screaming, "I'm gonna be opening for John!" I ran through the house saying, "I'm gonna be opening for John." I ran in the hallway, knocked on all my friends' place on their doors, their apartment doors. We're out there jumping and celebrating, and after they congratulated me, I walked back in the house and the receiver is on the couch. And I scream at the kids, "If you're going to use it, you can at least hang up the receiver." "Well, Mom, we weren't on it. You were on it." "I was on it?" Oh my God. I didn't answer John. John just said that, what he said, and I left him hanging. I was like, oh my God, I left the poor man hanging. I never talked to him. So I tried to look and see if I could see the number he called from. It said unknown number. So then I tried that *69, which will dial the call back. That didn't
right.
work because it was an unknown number. It's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So I went on Twitter and sent them a message by direct mail. It got bounced back because he's not following me and he's not a friend. So then I called Karen's house. Prudence answered the line and said they were in Tahiti. And Tahiti? Oh my God, how am I going to get a hold of John? And I was freaking out. But the next day, he had somebody call me to see if I would be able to open for him in Universal Studios that Saturday, upcoming Saturday. And I said yes. And then John called me later, a couple of days later. No, not a couple of days. Yes, he did. A couple of days later, he called me and said, "How do you want to be introduced? And how much time do you want on stage?" So I said, just give me 30 minutes on stage. And he was like, "Are you sure?" I'm being cocky. "Sure, I'm sure. I got this." Thinking to myself, I ain't got nothing. But he said he would give me 30 minutes. And after I hung up, that's when I realized I was in trouble. How am I going to do 30 minutes when I probably only got 10 minutes worth of material? And so I told Karen and what happened. And Karen said, "Well, you only got 3 days to work on this." So I worked over my material and timed it. And when I got to Universal Studios, John was there. He came out and he talked to me and wished me luck and everything. So I was so nervous that Karen and Miko kept filling me up with Mai Tais because I don't drink. And they said, "That's not like alcoholic. You'll like this. You'll be okay with it." So I kept drinking Mai Tai after Mai Tai because it was free because John was performing at the club, Universal Studios. And it was his club, by the way. Remember when he had his own club?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
So
that was the club. The club he was in was the one that BB King had, right?
I'm
Where it
not
had like
sure.
3 floors. It had like
Oh, yeah.
two
It did have 3
balconies.
floors. Yeah. Yeah.
No, because
So,
I was the house comic when BB King owned that club.
oh,
I had been
okay.
there.
I didn't know
So
that.
when you
So,
told me you were doing that, I said, "Oh, okay, I know where you are." All right.
yeah, so I
Mm-hmm.
got drunk. Miko and Karen got me drunk, and I thought John would be upstairs in the green room because he had showed me where the green room was,
Uh-huh.
where everybody would hang out in the green room.
Right.
And so when they called my name, I'm sitting there and I heard them call my name. And I looked at Karen and I go, wow, they're calling somebody named JackaBucci. And she goes, I was like, oh, it's me. So I got up to walk. Now I'm ready. I'm ready to do my set. Who do
Right.
I see when I'm walking, getting ready to walk up the stairs? John is standing right there, right by the stage. She's supposed to be upstairs in the green room. So I go up those stairs and I completely lose my train of thought about what I was supposed to be doing. And
Oh,
I
okay.
said to myself, if you F this up, you'll never work in town again. So you got to get your crap together real fast. And there was this elderly couple sitting at the edge of the stairs. And the old guy goes, I love you, JackaBucci. He recognized me from the TV series that I was on. And I said, oh, I love you too. Isn't that sweet? He's with his wife and he's flirting with me. And that opened me up to keep going. That broke the ice for me. And I kept going. And I actually did the 30 minutes. And the red light
Really?
came on. I did it. It went so fast I couldn't shut up.
Huh?
So the red light came on. You know, from the Comedy Store, they had that red light. But at
Right.
John's place,
Yeah.
the red light didn't mean nothing to me. So I kept going, and the red light came on again. And I was telling this story, and I lost my train of thought again because of that red light. I said, the red light means to get off stage. So instead of
Right.
finishing the joke or what I was talking about, I just stopped and said, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for having me. And people stood up and clapped and everything. My
Oh,
coworkers
nice.
came out.
Kind of
That
standing
club
out.
was packed.
Nice.
And after the show, John came up to me and he says, you did an outstanding job, JackaBucci. He said, except, uh-oh. You know, you get nervous when you hear except. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, wow, well,
Wow.
what did I do wrong? And he said, you never, ever walk away without finishing the
A
story
joke.
or the joke. That's the only thing you did wrong. But other than that, you did a wonderful job. And then he said,
Yeah.
if maybe I could go and open for him on the weekends or something. But I knew I couldn't do that because I had two sons. One was getting in trouble all the time, and the other one was a perfect angel, and they were always fighting. So I couldn't do that. I couldn't take that. It was like you almost get there. You know what I mean? And something happens to pull you
Yeah.
back.
Right.
Like what the Comedy Store, I almost got the main room, but then I had to adopt two little boys. One was a family member, so that got pulled back. So it seems like every time something happens, it happens. And John told me to come to Vegas. So I moved to Vegas to do comedy. And of course, what happens? What happened? COVID.
COVID. Yeah.
COVID. Yep.
COVID happened. Oh my God.
Yep.
So for a whole year, I sat around doing nothing but eating, didn't do any comedy, and that lost it again. See what I mean? Lost it again.
Mm.
So the way I look at it, I
Yeah,
told
but you've been,
everybody,
you know what? You've been a world traveler though. And I'm sure
yes,
you've
and
been
I
going all these
told
different
Virginia.
places and telling all these stories.
Exactly. And I told John too, even if I never do comedy again, I've done a television series. I've been in a featured movie. I've been in a documentary where Rosario Dawson put me in a documentary.
Oh,
And
nice.
I'm in a mural. I'm in a cookbook that Dudley Moore and Tony Bill put me in. And they're in the cookbook too.
Oh,
The
cool.
cookbook is called 72 Market Street.
Right.
Marie Claire did an article on me. And The Rock is in that article because The Rock used to hang out at the firehouse. And I'm on that
I
mural.
didn't know that,
Mhm.
did it?
Yes, he did. So,
Oh, yeah, because Goals is up the street.
Exactly. Exactly.
right,
And I did that
right.
video. I did a video with Gregory Hines, Rick Fox. I would have got Vanessa Williams, except she was pregnant. I got Gregory Hines, Rick Fox, Angelica Houston, and some
Mm.
Wesley Snipes was going to do the video for me too. Wesley Snipes was going to do it. I got Julie Brown. Remember Downtown Julie Brown from MTV? Yeah. And I got this soap actor who was famous on Days of Our Lives, even though I didn't watch Days of Our Lives. But I got Rick Fox because he was with the Lakers at that time when we did the video. So we did a video.
Right. So now tell the audience about your TV show on True TV.
Kevin just asked it, but I wanted to talk about the True TV series and just mention that maybe possibly Kevin R. Livingston was a part of it because, pro tip, reality TV isn't real. So, because I've had my own kind of stint with reality TV as well. So let's hear about that.
You know, everyone says in Venice that I know everybody, which is probably true. I probably, but didn't know who they were because I talk to everybody and I'm not good at remembering names. But this one particular English lady named Joanne used to say hello to me, and I gave everybody hugs every day. Kevin, I gave you a hug, and David a hug, and I would give her a hug. And then I didn't see her for a long time. And some people that I knew said, they're looking for you. A producer is looking for you in the Yo Venice newspaper. And I thought I was being punked or pranked. So I said, yeah, well, what are they looking me for? Why are they looking for me? And they said, oh, they want to do a TV series with you and for you to call a number in New York. So I ignored them. And some other people said the same thing about seeing the article in the paper. I ignored them. And at the end of the month, an old guy I had never seen, he said, how did that TV series work out for you? I said, what TV series? He said, the producer that was looking for you in the Yo Venice newspaper, you did contact them, didn't you? And I go, no. So I found that newspaper and I looked up the number and I called the number because I knew I was being pranked. And I said, yeah, this is JackaBucci, and you're calling me about a TV series. And she says, oh, yeah, it's Joanne. Do you remember me? I used to live at Venice, and I would come to the Cows Inn every day. I didn't remember her because a whole year had went by. And she said, we want to fly you into New York, True TV. We want to do a television series following you on the job like they did with Cops, where they follow LAPD on the job. And I said, well, I can tell you right now, the city of LA is not going to allow that because the chief, his wife is a traffic officer, and he's going to want them to follow her instead of me. I already knew that. This is just how everything works. And she says, well, we don't want to follow his wife. We want to follow you. I said, good luck. I'm going to give you the number. You can call. So she called me back and she said, you were right. They wanted me to follow his wife. And we told them, no, thank you. So we're not going to be able to do the series after all. And I said, okay. So I was kind of disappointed. So I hung up. And an hour later, Joanne calls me back. And she said, well, we still want to do the television series. Can you act? And I said, can Queen Latifah sing? She started laughing. And then she says, well, then, in that case, we're going to set up a test pilot. Not a test pilot. What's it called? Screen test in January, because this was December. She said, we're going to set up a screen test in January 2019 and in Venice Beach. So you need to be there at, I think, 6 a.m. And she says, I'm going to send you a contract. And the studio sent me a contract. And I told Angelica about the contract, and she told me to get an entertainment lawyer and not to do anything until I got an entertainment lawyer. So I got the lawyer in Beverly Hills who charged, I think she only charged me 20% or either 10%, I can't remember, of every episode. But she looked over the contract and she said, they're trying to take away your intellectual property. No can do. They're trying to make you film day or night. No can do because you have a job. Because, I was still working for the city. So she stipulated that I could only film on my days off, that they would not own the rights to my intellectual property because I do stand-up comedy as JackaBucci. So she took that away. She also, they wanted to lock me up in a contract for 10 years, and she said no to that. And she also put in, for each season, if the show was a hit, they can come back and negotiate the salary. She did that. So I had a good entertainment lawyer. And so in the pouring rain, was it you? You were there, Kevin. Were you there? Or was it who did it with me? Roy. Roy
What?
Of the screen test. Roy did it with me. You know Roy Eisenstein?
Oh, the screen test was Roy, yeah.
Yeah, Roy and my co-worker, Dwight Brown. They came. Oh, and downtown Julie Brown came too. And Annette came. And it was pouring down raining that day. And we all did the screen test together. Wesley couldn't do it because Wesley was shooting the film. But we all did the screen test together. And because it was pouring down raining, and they made me work in the rain. And I don't work in the rain. I stay in my car because it's hard to write a ticket when it's raining. But they had me out there in the pouring down rain like a soaked dog. And that made me so mad that I guess by fighting with all my friends playing irate citizen, that helped me be able to fight back with them. And I must have did an outstanding job because they sent the film by FedEx, which I did not know that's how they do things. They sent the film by FedEx to New York. Right. The next day I got a call saying I had to roll. That's how I got the television series. And then I went to New York and met
just I want you to say this. What was the name of the series?
The television series on True TV was called All Worked Up. Yep, All Worked Up.
That was it.
Yes. Right. And I met Joanne. And when I met her in New York City, when they would fly me to New York City all the time. And when I met her, then I remember who she was. But she thought about me and gave me that television series.
The episode, we shot it in the marina on that road at the end of, what is that? Pacific. At the end of Pacific, and when you come off via Marina?
That's via Marina.
That road that connected them?
That's via Marina.
Down by the inlet, the channel, or whatever they called it, right? We shot it there. And we did about, I don't know, 5 or 6 takes.
Oh, yeah, Kevin did an episode.
Because I had my BMW then, right? And I'm in the street screaming at her. This guy pulls over his car, wants to get out and kick my ass. And we look at the guy, right? And we say, yo, my man, see this guy right here? Yeah, what's the problem? You see that camera he's holding? Oh, I'm sorry. No shit. Right?
Well, that was amazing. Yeah, that was amazing. That was Sharon JackaBucci, JackaBucci, and we had we had some technical glitches here, so those stories were amazing. Love Jackie, and we'll definitely bring her back for more stories.
Right. She has an effervescent personality. I mean, I remember going to have coffee in the morning, and I would see her, and she'd always have a smile for me, and we would take pictures together. I'd wear my Yankee shirt, and she'd say, I'm from New York, right? And I'm like, well, you're in California now, but no, and everybody loves her. I wouldn't, it's always cliche to say the mayor or something. But no, JackaBucci would be the dictator of Venice Beach. I mean, everybody knew this woman,
Yeah.
And I mean in a good way. And she knew a lot of
Yeah.
celebrities. One celebrity she didn't mention was Diane Warren. And Diane Warren is every year has a song up for an Oscar. And her and Jackie are really close. So when we bring her back, we'll ask her about Diane Warren. I'd like to thank our guest, Ms. JackaBucci, or JackaBucci, our friend from Venice. We really like to thank her for taking the time out to talk to us today. As always, I'm Kevin R. Livingston.
And I'm David Adams Hood.
Have a great day and a great week. We'll see you soon.